seconds away on this Studio 5 special. We're sitting down for a one-on-one candid conversation. The man behind Medea, writer and filmmaker Tyler Perry. It is all things Tyler Perry on this edition of Studio 5. We're sitting down with the media mogul for an extended conversation. We're also counting down 5 fun facts about the writer, producer, actor, and director. Here are the first 2. At number 5, do you know when and where Tyler Perry was born? He was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, September 13th, 1969, to Willie Maxine Campbell and Emmett Perry Sr.
It's good to see everybody. You having fun?
Studio 5 first sat down with him in 2016 when he returned home to host the Passion Live television special. How often do you come back?
Most of my family's gone since Hurricane Katrina. As a matter of fact, all of them. So I don't come back unless there's business or something going on. And since my mother passed, I don't get back a lot. But coming back now, there's a much different energy than when I was growing up here. I feel so much hope here now. It's very great.
Fun fact number 4. Medea! Do you know when his popular Medea character was born?
Who are you? I'm deaf in a dress. Do you want to come get some?
Medea first appeared in 2000 in Perry's play, Woman Thou Art Loosed. Fans so adored the gun-toting loudmouth granny, she returns in other plays and eventually makes it all the way to the silver screen in Tyler Perry's films, even today.
Medea. That's what the hell they know me by. What? What is you ducking down for? Hush, I'm trying to be incognito. Incognito? Shut girl. Yes, that's we ain't going to no incognito this weekend. Bam. Hush, I have to be on the low. On what kind of low? I have to be on the low because I'm on the wall. Look on the wall. Mabel! Bam! Hi, officer!
And those are your first 2 fun facts about Tyler Perry. You can hear much more about the man behind the entertainment brand in his book, Higher is Waiting. We sat down with him at Random House Books in New York City to talk about the book and his life. Tyler Perry is this week's Studio 5 interview.
Hush, I'm trying to be incognito.
From Medea,
Good Lord, who they kin
to Old Man Joe, Tyler Perry wears many faces and hats. The actor, writer, and director is the first African American to own a major film and television studio. And it's expanding as Perry transforms an old Army base into his new Atlanta headquarters. You say you always knew that there was greater for you. Do you remember the moment you knew or what happened that light went on for you?
No, it's just always knew. I always felt as a kid that there was more for me. I didn't see things the way that my a lot of the other kids in the neighborhood saw things, or even my parents for that matter. They saw us being black or us being poor.
Tyler grew up in New Orleans, where jazz music was born. He shares some of those young memories in his book, Higher is Waiting.
I had a teacher, I said, they were asking kids what they want to be, and I said, I want to be a millionaire. And he said, you're never going to make it because you're poor and you're black. But even as a child, there was something in me that said, that's not true, don't believe that. But I know now that was and is the voice of God.
And obviously that was critical in light of all that you were going to endure, that you needed to always know.
I had to know. And the other part of it too is I thank God for my mother. I feel sorry for kids whose parents don't give them God, don't give them faith, don't give them Jesus, because life is going to get hard at some point and you will turn to something. Everyone turns to something. And I'm so glad I had the option and I had a mother who was smart enough and strong enough or had the wherewithal and the faith enough to say, son, this is where you go, so that I'm not strung out on drugs. Because the things that I've been through, man, it's a wonder that I'm sitting here, but he is a wonder.
Mom is among Tyler's most precious memories as a child and a young adult. Willie Maxine Perry, is that the name?
Willie Maxine, yeah, they called her Mackie.
They call her Mackie.
Yeah.
And looking at the photograph, she's beautiful. You also describe her as probably the most beautiful of all her sisters.
She was, yeah, she was. She was a beautiful woman before sickness and cancer and diabetes ravaged her body, but she was so beautiful, perfect skin, and just would walk in a room and everybody, natural beauty, no makeup at all, and everybody would just turn and stare. Just a beautiful, beautiful woman.
On the flip side, the other person in the book that you mentioned is Emmett Perry.
Mm-hmm.
your dad.
Yeah.
Because of him, what would you say your childhood was like, if you could describe it in one word?
Hell. Yeah, it was hell. It was hell. There's no other way to describe it, because he was, you know, I look at him now and I clearly think that there was so much trauma in his life that he may be mentally bipolar. I really think that something's there, but there were extreme highs and extreme lows and extreme alcohol abuse and extreme physical and verbal abuse, but was normal for him. I remember a few years ago, he sent a message to me through my brother, you know, because I was doing something and it had been successful or some project had come out. And he said, if I had beat you one more time, you would be Barack Obama. So he celebrates the fact that he did what he did. He thinks because of him being so brutal, I became this person, which in fact, there is some truth to the fact that he helped form who I am, because all things work together for your good. And somehow God turned that thing around to put me in this position to make it work for my good.
And you have forgiven him. Mm-hmm. And you take care of him.
I do. That's right. And with no reservations about it. I absolutely do. My mother asked me to, and I do. And here's the thing I can say about him. He didn't have the skills to be a father. He didn't know how. He didn't know how to show love. Had no idea how to show love or what love was. He was tormented since he was 2 years old. So he had a horrible upbringing, but which doesn't excuse anything that he did. But the forgiveness of him was not about him. It was about me. And my life didn't change and open up until I was able to let go. And I watched this man get down on his knees and pray every night to God. Every night, after no matter what he'd done, every night he'd pray.
Tyler was named after his dad. He changed his name from Emmett to Tyler at age 16. And you learned that the man that you know as dad is not your biological father.
Yeah, found that out a few years ago. God has always given me this sense of when something's not right. It's intuition. I never talked myself out of it. But as a kid, I would say to my mother, I asked her from a little boy, was he my father? And she would always say, I hate to tell you this, but he's your father. Mm-hmm. All the time. And when she passed, I did a paternity test with my brother and myself, and not the same father. Then I did one directly with him, just to be sure, not the same father. Yeah, no, I'm not his son, not his son.
Is there a search for the...
I don't even know where to begin. My mother was such a close woman, and I do remember a very horrible story about someone breaking in the house before I was born. So I don't know what's there, but whatever, I don't even know if she knew. So she was a very closed woman and very, very private when it came to certain things. So I don't know if I'll ever know. I don't know, and it really is okay. The reason I wanted to know was just for my health and history and my son, if there's anything that we need to be aware of. So just went to the doctor, got everything checked out, all's well.
You escape New Orleans, you get to Atlanta, you don't find immediate success.
No.
For those of us who think this book, we're going to read it and take this rocket ship to...
No, God bless the man who finds immediate success, but no, not at all. But I was successful in every moment. Looking back on it now, from this seat, I realized that, this was all a part of it. I was working as a bill collector, I hated the job. It's so negative, but you can't out-negotiate me in a contract because of that, I was selling used cars to people. I was horrible at it because I didn't want to deceive people. But it helped me to be able to talk and speak and negotiate back and forth. So all of those things helped me get to where I am.
Including being homeless and sleeping in a Geo Metro?
Geo Metro, yeah. Can you believe that? At 6'6" in a Geo Metro. It was yellow, too. I had a friend who saw it and said, you need to take him back and tell him you bought a lemon. It was bright yellow. Bright yellow. But, yeah, those were dark times. But I'm telling you, my faith failed me not.
And the Tyler Perry Studio 5 conversation continues in just a moment. Still to come in this Studio 5 conversation with Tyler Perry. Some things I didn't know about your childhood. You don't exactly know when your birthday is? See why.
I had two amazing parties. One, I did Soul Cycle. I had 150 bikes outside around my pool.
It takes 2 days to celebrate Tyler's birthday. And welcome back to this special edition of Studio 5. We're continuing our conversation with the man behind the famous Madea character in just a moment. But first, here are your next two Tyler Perry fun facts from Studio 5. Fun fact number 3. What was Tyler Perry's first book?
If I wasn't out here, Hattie, would I be saying yes?
All right, I won't be a long time. Be out in the wire here.
Just hurry the hell up.
That Tyler Perry book actually came from Medea in 2006. Don't Make a Black Woman Take Off Her Earrings. Medea's uninhibited commentaries on life and love. It was a New York Times bestseller and a winner of book awards.
Ma! Medea!
At number 2, what's family life like now for Tyler Perry?
You're a dad now, too.
Yeah.
Does that help to guide the projects you're doing in the future?
Oh, are you kidding me? That's why I'm doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Tyler Perry and model Galila Bekele have a son. He was born in 2014. And young Amon Tyler Perry has a very special godmother in Oprah Winfrey. Seen here in this photo, Perry posted on social media.
Even the thought of what kind of world am I leaving for him? You know, and I want it to be something that is special, and I want him to know the God of his mother and his father.
And there is one more Tyler Perry fun fact ahead in the show. Right now, let's head back to New York City to continue our conversation. Some things I didn't know about your childhood. You don't exactly know when your birthday is?
Yeah, it's either the 13th or the 14th.
Of September?
Yeah, of September. My mother says it's the 14th, so that's when she always celebrated and called me. But one day I got my birth certificate and it said the 13th, and then there's a handwritten, it's scratched out in handwriting, and the 13th is written, you know, little black kid born in a hospital in New Orleans. It's like, yeah, whatever, he'll figure it out. So I just celebrate both days.
And you have this son at 45?
Yeah, right? Surprise to me, yeah, 45.
Did you want children?
I didn't think I would have kids, so this was a complete surprise, and I didn't know how in need I was of him, because losing my mother, I was alone and empty, and then this bundle of life and joy and passion shows up, man. I love this kid so much. He's amazing.
I love the way he slows you down and reading the book from the piano to picking a rose for mom.
Oh yeah, no, he makes me stop. He makes me stop and pay attention. He says, "Pay attention, pay attention." He speaks well, but he has trouble saying "pay attention," so he says, "Pay attention." Yeah, pay attention.
He hasn't seen any of your movies yet.
No, but he's going to see The Star, so
yes.
I'm really excited about that. That's part of the reason I did it, because, you know, playing one of the camels and telling the story, the birth of Christ, through the animal's eyes was a brilliant idea. Devon Franklin is brilliant, so yeah, he'll get to see that. He ain't seen Medea for a while. Yeah.
Now, do you see yourself in him, possibly him going this direction and taking over?
I don't know. I'm looking at him now and I'm studying him very, very closely. But he's a bit bossy, so he's a bit of a director. So he'll be in the class, say, stand over here, stand over here. Okay, you stand here. He said, so I see him kind of forming things, but I'm just starting to meet him. At 3, you start to really see their personality. So he's a 3-nager now. Yeah.
What do you do to pass along your faith and your beliefs to him now?
Oh yeah, we take him to church, and I pray for him all the time. I'm praying over him all the time. We should see us at Thanksgiving praying to God. And he was at school and somebody sneezed, and he came home and he started saying, "Bless you." He said, "Bless you." I said, "Oh, where'd you hear that?" I said, "At school they said, bless you." I said, "Well, when you go back, you say, God bless you, so that God will bless." So I'll teach him those little things as he's going to make sure he has a foundation, because it's important to me that he has it.
You wrote a letter to yourself,
yeah.
Your 13-year-old self, for CBS.
Dear child of God, in this picture I see you trying to smile, but that smirk is all you could muster. I know that you are having it really hard right now, and you spend a lot of time using your imagination, seeing yourself running in a park to get away from all the pain.
I love the letter. I've gone through many of the things you've gone through, abuse and so forth.
Have you written a letter to yourself yet?
I have not written a letter to myself.
I think you should, man. Pull out some pictures of yourself at that age and talk to him. It is so healing. It is so healing. First of all, it was so emotional. I didn't even know I was holding on to that. To be able to tell your little boy self you're okay, and then to have a kid who looks exactly like me. Every time I hug him, I'm telling my little boy self, I love you. Or I'm hugging him, I'm hugging myself. So it's a healer, complete healer.
Would you add anything to that letter today?
You know, I pretty much nailed 13, but I think there's something I would want to say to the 15 and the 18 and the 20-year-old and the 30-year-old and even the 40-year-old. Yeah, so just as I get, 48 now, I've got a lot to look back and say to them, yeah.
Time is flying, and it's almost time to wrap our intimate conversation with Tyler Perry. But stick around. We have one more fun fact to share. Still ahead.
If I wasn't out here, Hattie, would I be saying yes?
All right, I'm gonna be a long time. Be out in a while.
Just hurry the hell up.
Tyler Perry's Madea face.
Will you ever hang her up?
Oh, I will hang her in a minute.
See why some of Tyler fans are saying this.
Baby, I was sitting there watching that, and I don't like all of that.
Welcome back to Studio 5. It is time for that one remaining fun fact about Tyler Perry.
The number one and final Tyler Perry fun fact is actually 5 things you may be surprised to learn about the media mogul.
That will become known to history as the Last Supper.
In this issue of Us Weekly magazine, Tyler shares 25 things you don't know about me. I'm an introvert. I have a fear of tubes and tunnels. Going through any tunnel causes me great anxiety. I'm a germaphobe. I went to seminary school for a semester. And I was a minister in my church. That's just 5 of many things you may not know about Tyler Perry.
You were contemplating suicide at one point.
Yeah, as a kid, absolutely. In this town. Can you imagine? That's why I tell people, no matter how dark it is, no matter what's going on in your life, there is better coming, there is brighter coming.
And that wraps the Studio 5 fun facts about Tyler Perry countdown and brings us to the final moments in our conversation. Let's head back to New York City and Random House, the publisher of his inspiring book, Higher is Waiting.
Who are you? I'm deaf in a dress. Do you want to come get some?
How much of your success do you credit to Madea?
You know, it's been a tremendous part of it in the sense that it's a character that has that franchise that's worked really, really well. But there's so much more that's gone into it. You know, not just being on stage or being in front of the camera, but there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that it's kind of impossible to frame it all to that particular character. But yeah, she did a lot for it for sure.
Will you ever hang her up?
Okay, I will hang her in a minute. Listen, she's on a hanger right now. When the minute people stop coming, you know, like this last movie, I said, minute people stop coming, she's gone. Well, it opens at number 1.
I know.
Okay, here we go again.
That's what the hell they know me by. What?
What is you ducking down for?
Hush, I'm trying to be incognito.
Incognito?
Shut, girl. Yes, that's
We ain't going to no incognito this weekend.
Bam. Hush, I have to be on the low.
Oh, what kind of low?
I have to be on the low because I'm on the wall. Look on the wall.
Neighbor!
Bam! Shut the... Hi, officer!
We're getting a funeral from her? Is that what's coming
The
in?
funeral is next, the family funeral, and it is hysterical. But I'm going to dial it back a bit because I got all the backlash from Joe being too over the top and boo.
Oh.
So we're going to dial it back a little bit to clean it up, not make it so raunchy.
Did you get that from the church? Because I know that's...
Oh yeah, I got it from the church. And
Baby, I was sitting there watching that, and I don't like all of that. That was just too much. Tyler Perry, you used to talk about Jesus, and not Joe just going too far. He talking about too many weeds and too many women.
Yeah, I heard it all.
How important is the church audience to you today?
Oh, very important, because you know what the thing I'm finding is that kids aren't going to church anymore. So if I can tell a story that gets them off guard a little bit, makes them laugh, and introduce them to God and to faith and believing, then that's important. Because again, if you don't give your kids something, they're going to turn to something, and it may not be what you want them to.
So you have success, you've got wealth, you've got fame. What's driving you now?
Legacy, my son. And what am I leaving? What am I leaving behind? That's why I wrote the book. These stories are in my journal for a very, very long time. And I said, okay, let's put it in a book and start to leave these nuggets of wisdom that people have helped pass on to me, like Oprah and Sidney Poitier and Maya Angelou and President Obama, and impart them in other people. But right now, it's all about legacy. So that's this book, the new studio. It's all about going in that direction.
And be sure to stick around. We're giving Tyler Perry the final word for this special edition of our show.
Still ahead in our candid conversation with Tyler Perry.
You did have a conversation with God, an angry one, essentially ready to give up.
Oh yeah, I'm done. I'm done with this.
The lesson Tyler learned to breathe life into your dead dreams.
We are almost out of time for this episode, so let's look ahead right now to see what we are working on for next week.
Climb aboard Clint Eastwood's 1517 to Paris.
this the life any of you imagined for yourself?
Not at all. I mean, it was a giant surprise. I mean, even in the last year, it's just been a crazy ride.
Yeah, last year, along with 2 years since the incident, it's kind of been like a snowball effect for us. As soon as we think it's going to die, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. We thought Clint Eastwood picking up the movie was enough, but then him asking us to be in it, that was like out of the realm of possibility.
Take me back to when he does ask. What are you thinking when he says, "Can you play yourselves?"
Kind of casually talking in his office, and then he just kind of says, "Hey, what do you guys think of reenacting things for us?" And we're like, "Yeah, we'll reenact things for the actors, sure, on camera, so we can, have them get the fight sequence right and everything like that." And then, like, at a certain point, we had to stop and ask him, like, "Okay, hey, Mr. Eastwood, are you asking us to play ourselves in the movie?" And he's like, "Yeah, why not?"
And meet the real-life heroes who portray themselves in the film.
Once you begin to discover who you are, then you really realize how you have been given authority over your life.
That's just one story from next week's rundown. As for this show, no one else could give us the final word better than the man himself. Here again is Tyler Perry.
I never stopped believing in God, and I never, even in the darkest moments, I always thought, just, you know what? Something's going to give, because I feel like there's a place in your life when your dream starts to believe for you. It gets so dark that the dream that you can't even dream anymore, but your dream will find its way to remind you that it's still there.
You did have a conversation with God, an angry one, essentially ready to give up.
Oh yeah, I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm going to do like my mom said, go to the phone company, get me a nice job, making $300, $400 a week, and get me some benefits, because that's what she told me, because she said these plays are never going to make it. And it was in that moment that I had just forgiven my father. Everything was falling apart. I got up and looked out the window backstage at the theater, and there was a line around the corner to get in the place. After not selling hardly any tickets for 7 years. It was a profound moment.
A great word. Thanks so much for your heart and for your time, Tyler Perry. That is a great final word for this edition of Studio 5. Until next time, reach out and touch me at From Graham on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. And then you be sure to come on back and see where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.